When the Minnesota Vikings hired Brian Flores to be their new defense coordinator, it was a sign that things were going to change on that side of the ball, and they were going to get more mobile, more agile, more hostile, and more versatile on that side of the ball, because Brian Flores preaches versatility on that side of the ball. And the more jobs you can do, the more jobs you can do, the more things that you can disguise, the more blitzes you can make, the more everything. It's all about deception, and guys who can play multiple positions will be key for Brian Flores' aggressive scheme. So now comes the draft, and there's a lot of players that are the new wave positionless type players that the Vikings should and could be interested in. So here are 5 Brian Flores perfectly tailor-made draft crushes who also stress versatility. Number 1, you know who number 1 is going to be. Brian Branch. Like, Brian Branch is a full-on Brian Flores fever dream of a defensive back, where he stresses versatility on the back end. Brian Branch can play all 5, all 6 defensive back spots, and he's amazing. 6 foot, $194, true junior, first team All-American this season. 90 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 passes broken up, a partridge in a pear tree. Now, I hear what you're saying. We have safeties. If they keep Harrison Smith, they got Lewis Seen, they got Cam Beasley, they got Josh Metellus. Don't care. Don't care. Brian Branch, by the way, Brian Branch is working out with the corners at the combine. So he can play outside corner, he can play slot corner, he can play single high, he can play box safety, he can play split safety, he can do everything, man. Where he's the quarterback of the defense, he's a true leader back there. Like, he's Minka Fitzpatrick plus. It's what he is. He can line up anywhere. He's a true joker. He can blitz, he can cover, he can tackle, he can run. He put up an 89.5 PFF grade this season. And when you get Alabama defensive backs, you know that they're going to be schooled on very complex schemes right away. That's what Saban does with his DBs. Number 1, the player is going to be a 4 or 5-star recruit. Number 2, they're going to have a high football IQ. Brian Branch checks all those boxes. And even if the Vikings have to maneuver a little bit in the first round to go get him, I wouldn't care. Like, that's how good Brian Branch is. Next up, versatile draft crush number 2 for Brian Flores' defense, Antonio Johnson. And again, sticking with we already have safeties. Antonio Johnson is different. Now, you could say that he's a diet version of Brian Branch, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical, sure. 6'3", $195, first team All-SEC this year, along with Brian Branch at safety. 71 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, a sack, and 3 forced fumbles. Could and should be in that first or second round area, probably going to be a top 40 pick, but great size, physical, and you could say that he's positionless. Like, he could play that big nickel slot. He could play down in the box. He could play coverage as a safety. He can do a lot of things. 81.6 PFF grade this year. But he's just a tough kid, tough football player, and I absolutely love the way that he plays. And I think that he would shine in Brian Flores' scheme. Next up, versatile defender number 3, draft crush, Carl Brooks, Bowling Green. Font. There you go. Bowling Green, seen as a day 2 selection. Could do some nice things at the combine. Now, he's 6'4", 280, played edge rusher for the most part at Bowling Green. First team PFF All-American, posted a 93 PFF grade, but 18 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 69 pressures this year. Nice career, 46 tackles for loss, 27.5 sacks. He can simply get to the quarterback. Now, he doesn't have the length. He doesn't have the speed to allow him to be an every down edge rusher in the National Football League, but he can play that 5-tech spot, can play 4-tech, can play 3-tech, and I think that him kicking inside will be very similar to when Michael Bennett kicked inside for the Seahawks, where you have this guy who has edge rusher prowess, who's going to be too quick, too powerful, too strong, plays with too good a leverage on the inside, and is going to be really slick on passing downs. I think that Carl Brooks' versatility is going to make him a huge asset for the Vikings, especially that interior pass rush that has sorely been missing the last couple seasons. Next up, versatile draft crush number 4 for the Vikings and Brian Flores, Trenton Simpson, linebacker out of Clemson, seen as a day 2 selection, maybe as a fringe first-round pick, 6'3", 230. Now, could you say that he's a little bit too similar to Brian Asamoah? That's okay. I'll take 2 Brian Asamoahs. But 72 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 16 pressures, 3 passes broken up, 2 forced fumbles this year. Now, he was sort of stifled by scheme in 2022, where he was more saddled in a traditional linebacker role, where his strength was in 2021 when the defense allowed him to basically be like a diet Micah Parsons on that Tigers defense, where he put up 31 pressures, 6.5 sacks. Now, I think that with Brian Flores' defense, he puts a premium on pass rushing ability on his off-ball linebackers because of how much that he likes to mix it up and blitz. So Trenton Simpson in that off-ball linebacker role, he can run in coverage. He can also get after the quarterback. He's got a nose for the QB and the football. I think he would be a huge asset for the Vikings. Lastly, versatile draft crush number 5 for Brian Flores and the Vikings, Noah Sewell. Yes, because we want the Sewell Brothers Bowl twice a year, and Noah Sewell is just a damn player, man. So, seen as a day 2 selection, might go top 50, 6'2", 252, first team All-Pac 12 this year, 55 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, pick, and 4 passes broken up. But this wasn't even his best season. Like, his redshirt freshman year in 2021 was gargantuan. 114 tackles, 4 sacks, 34 pressures, and like we said, what Flores likes to do with his linebackers is use them in a pass rusher role. You look at Jerome Baker with the Dolphins, you look at Kyle Van Noy with the Patriots. I think Noah Sewell and Kyle Van Noy, their similarities are very much there, where he's a great off-ball linebacker. He can certainly run in coverage, but he is an asset when asked to rush the passer. So I think that Noah Sewell would be absolutely dynamite with what Flores wants to do. But that's it. That's 5 versatile draft crushes. I think would be perfect for Brian Flores' new scheme here with the Minnesota Vikings. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.